Some of the most successful Google Ads e-commerce campaigns that we run follow a very simple structure. So in today's video, I want to share with you what's working right now. And again, with Google, there's different ways that we can approach how we set up the campaigns, how we optimize, and potentially how we scale campaigns. But every time we create campaigns, the idea is that we're looking to vertically scale, which is just increase the budget, and then horizontally scale. So optimally, what we're trying to do is get more for our money. And the way we do that is through certain optimizations. So the focus of what I want to talk about today is how we create a funnel for our Google Ads for e-commerce. So what I want to do is I'm going to get my pen and paper, virtual pen and paper out, and just draw a little bit of a funnel. So let's jump into this screen share. So I do apologize if it's not as good as it could be, but here we go. Here's a funnel. So what we want to do is with our Google Ads for e-commerce is create a funnel and have an understanding to why we're doing what we're doing. And again, we're going to start with a search campaign, and then we're going to build that out, and then we're going to potentially add a performance max or a shopping campaign, and then we can structure based off of the metrics that we're getting back. But what I want to do is optimally what we're trying to achieve is this type of funnel. So number one, let's get this going. So what we're finding for a top of funnel is to run a performance max campaign. So with a performance max campaign, there has to be certain ways that we do this. So for e-commerce, if we've got a number of things that we're selling that potentially is very different price-wise, then potentially what we need to do is create two performance max campaigns to have that separation. Again, the fragmentation of data is one of the biggest problems I'm seeing, not just with enough budget going to a campaign for lead generation and e-commerce, but on top of that, the same principles are still going to apply for our Google Ads e-commerce, in the sense that if we've got a number of different SKUs, a number of different products that we're selling with a very different pricing point, we want to separate those, and we want to make sure that we're having some sort of definition of separation for the metrics that we're going to get. So having two performance max campaigns could definitely work well, and that's something that we've implemented. Number two, feed only, guys. So run the feed directly into your performance max campaign is something that's going to work very well, and that will then create the headlines and descriptions for you. So just run the feed into your performance max and then just let the algorithm just do the rest. And probably the most important thing with a performance max campaign, you have to exclude your brand. This performance max campaign will act as a broad or reach campaign. So the idea is it's looking for new customers. Think about it. If you're searching for something, say you're searching for Nike, or say you're searching for another brand, then you already know that brand. What you're trying to do with this particular performance max campaign is to look for new customers. If somebody's searching your brand, they're going to find you down the funnel. And this is why we build the funnels, to have some sort of understanding to what we're doing. So exclude your brand from the performance max campaign. That's the main thing. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I see with e-commerce. Underneath the performance max campaign, have a shopping campaign running. So let me get this written out. Here we go, shopping. There we go, I'll do a little smiley face. Shopping campaigns work very well with performance max, but again, we need to structure these campaigns correctly. So with a shopping campaign, you can have high priority, medium priority, and high priority, medium priority, and low priority. So for high priority, it's going to be high intent keywords, and the ROAS, you want to set that at a low ROAS. Underneath that shopping campaign, you want to have a medium priority, which is going to be more of your generic terms. So again, the ROAS for that wants to be set higher. You can see what I'm doing, guys. I'm breaking this out into keywords based around high intent, medium intent, but also I'm changing the ROAS. If you have things the same, they will conflict in Google. So what we're trying to do is break this out into segments that we clearly know what's working, not only for the algorithm, but for ourselves as advertisers. So having that high intent, medium intent, and then add in a low intent, which is going to be your brand. So if somebody's searching for you in a shopping campaign, guess what? They're going to find you, and it's going to be done within this shopping campaign. So once that's optimized, that's the kind of the structure that you want. So you've got the two layers: performance max, looking for new customers, excluding your brand, feed only, almost like a broad reach campaign. And again, if you've got large differences in price, break two performance max campaigns. Shopping campaign, high, medium, low intent, like I structured, like I mentioned, works well together. Underneath this, underneath the shopping campaign, we want to have a search campaign. So your bread and butter of Google Ads. Oh, that's a little mistake. So you got the search campaign. Search campaigns work fantastically well. I mean, obviously that's going to be the first campaign that you're running. That's going to give you the information. The reason that search is good is because that gives you the most control over what you're doing for your Google Ads. So again, with search, you want to have your campaigns have ad groups based around keyword themes, guys, closely knit keyword themes. The reason this is so important is you're going to improve your quality score. So it's going to be cheaper for you to get your purchases because the quality score is going to improve. And that's what we're ultimately trying to do. Obviously, with all of this structure, we want to make sure that where we're sending that traffic is of a good layout, whether that be to a landing page and or to a product page on your website. But we need to make sure that we're tracking everything. So search campaigns, the bread and butter of Google, the most expensive place to advertise on Google, but we have more control over. We can optimize, we can add the negative keywords in, we can have those closely knit keyword themes at the ad groups. And then from there, we can potentially then, like I said before, we can vertically scale. And then when you're horizontally scaling, that's where you're adding in all these other campaigns, the shopping campaign, the Performance Max campaigns. And again, it's understanding the data that is coming back from you from the Google, and then you can create this type of structure. So PMax, top of funnel, shopping is going to be more mid funnel, search just under there, but the search is the bread and butter. That gives you ultimately the most control. Based it around keyword themed, looking to improve that quality score, giving that weekly optimization, adding in those negative keywords, making sure with the search campaigns, guys, little tip, longer tail keywords. You're giving more data to Google, and more good data in is going to be more good data out. When I say good data out, I mean because you're adding in a longer tail keywords going to be 4, 5, 6 keywords. That's going to help Google to find more of what you want based on you adding in as broad terms. So you want to make sure you're targeting or adding in broad terms. That will give you the volume. You control that through negative keywords, but adding in longer tail keywords is the key for broad. If you're adding in 1 or 2 keywords, then it's going to show for a lot of irrelevant terms. And then you're going to have to do a lot more work to keep it under control, to make sure you're not allowing Google wasting your money on irrelevant terms. So longer tail keywords. Google, by the way, is going towards conversation. So conversational searches is the way that Google is going. So make sure that you implement these strategies. Broad with exact works well, especially with smart bidding, guys, because you're tapping into the full array of Google's AI. So I digress. Let's continue. So we've got Performance Max, we've got shopping, we've got search, and then under here, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, guys. We've got brand. One of the most confusing thing with brand, and it's a conversation I have still to this day with owners, with directors, with people, other advertisers around brand. Why do we need to target brand? We're going to get the term anyway, so why do we need to target it? You're not going to get the term, guys. There are competitors out there who will target competitor campaigns against you. And what will happen is when somebody searches for your brand, so say you are XYZ company, and somebody searches for you, you will be number 2 or number 3 because the other brands who are targeting you in a competitor campaign will show above you. And that's why you want to make sure that you're targeting on a small budget, but you want to target your own brand to make sure that not only you're going to get a good quality, you're going to get quality scores of 9 or 10 out of 10, but when people are searching for you, 100% that traffic is coming to you. If you do not target brand somewhere in this, then the chances are you won't necessarily pick up all your terms. And I know, as crazy as that sounds, it happens all the time. I had a client that we worked together for about 1.5 years. He decided to do the Google Ads himself, went away, came back about 7-8 months later, had an emergency meeting with him. Basically, he lost about 35 to 40,000 pounds, and he didn't know what to do because competitors were targeting his brand, his successful company, but he'd realized that it was too late by then. So what we had to do was spin up a brand campaign, and that's why brand campaigns are so important. Now, Google came out and with an announcement about 6 or 7 weeks ago to say that they were going to reduce, or they wanted to stop all these shenanigans around brand because they wanted the user experience to be of a better quality. And by targeting, obviously, competitor campaigns, targeting our brand, then they wanted to kind of stop all of that. I haven't seen that just yet. I'm still looking, and you can find this information to see if you're being targeted in the auction insights, guys. So if you're running a branded campaign, look at the auction insights. And if you see your brand at the top or second and anyone above you, that potentially means that they are targeting your brand. And sometimes they're doing it without realizing. Performance Max campaigns can target other brands. And if you don't know, if you're not a sophisticated advertiser and you know where to look for a Performance Max campaign, then potentially you could be targeting other brands without realizing it. So again, I've given you the structure of what's working now, but clearly what I'm trying to say is that if you're breaking out campaigns, horizontally scaling, so you vertically scaled, you're horizontally scaling, you're adding in this shopping with the PMax, with your search campaign, you've got a brand campaign, seems like a lot, but actually each one of these is doing something slightly different. And that's this is the caveat for Google Ads. It doesn't have to be more than this. This, a lot of the time, is going to be the basic structure of what you need, and this will get you the results that you want. And again, a simplification of this is going to be for lead generation, obviously search with a Performance Max, potentially with the brand campaign works well. And then if all of this is working, you can add on a demand gen campaign. So guys, I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, as always, let me know. If you want me to look at your Google Ads, give 10-15 minute free audit, which again, I can look, if you're e-commerce, I can look at your structure and potentially look at a good way, like I've explained, how we can restructure your campaigns. But one of the caveats for all of this is if you're running Google Ads, whether it's lead generation or e-commerce, I tend to work with what you have already, and then I try to optimize it based on structure, because it's going to be easier to get the better performance. No matter how badly your ads or you think your ads are being created, there's going to be elements that we could potentially use to build upon. And again, creating some sort of a structure like I've mentioned. So again, if you want me to look at your Google Ads, always happy to do. I hope this makes sense. I just wanted to share what's working right now. And again, if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll see you very soon.